we good? All right. I think we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Is everyone enjoying the conference? Yep. Yes? Excellent, excellent. I've been to every Ignite so far, and I'm amazed how every year there's more and more activity that's happening. Between the breakout sessions, the theater sessions, the expo hall, the meetups, the podcasts, the diversity sessions, there's so much activity that's going on. So we really appreciate you sticking with us. We realize we're getting to the end of a very long week, and we're very excited to present to you what we feel will be a great presentation. Today, we're going to help you build a strategy for compliance and information protection for your organization with Microsoft 365. I'm joined by Maithili Dandige, Principal Group Program Manager for Information Protection at Microsoft, and myself, Antonio Mayo. I'm a Senior Enterprise Architect with Protiviti. I'm also a 7-time Microsoft MVP in Office 365 and SharePoint. Protiviti is a global consulting firm that specializes in internal audit, data security and privacy, risk and compliance, and technology consulting. Among many other things, we help customers every single day implement Microsoft solutions for information protection and compliance. And today, we're going to talk to you about the innovations that Microsoft has built into their tools and capabilities for compliance and information protection. And we're going to present to you some of the many resources that are available as well. Now, we wanted to start off talking to you about some of the challenges that customers face when it comes to implementing controls for security and information protection, compliance, these types of areas within their organizations. Often these challenges present themselves as part of digital transformation initiatives. Sometimes customers see them when they are considering their compliance obligations in the cloud, as they're moving into the cloud. Again, perhaps part of a digital transformation initiative. And then customers can often find it very challenging to understand or to determine which tools and capabilities are available to them. Oops. Now, with digital transformation initiatives, what we often find is that compliance administrators, C-suite executives, others within an organization, they'll often have concerns about security and compliance when they consider moving to the cloud. They can even present outright blockers to even considering a cloud solution. These often come from a lack of understanding of how a Tier 1 cloud provider like Microsoft operates and secures their cloud environments. Often it comes from a fear of not having control of the entire environment, of not having servers to manage, of not controlling the entire security perimeter. When it comes to IT admins, we often find that they're concerned about what role will they play in an organization when they move to the cloud. Will they even have a job when their organization is entirely in the cloud and they'll no longer have servers to operate and manage? To these folks, I would say, consider this an opportunity. Consider a digital transformation initiative that's moving to the cloud, an opportunity to elevate your role from being an IT admin that patches servers, that responds to support requests, to a service owner for the cloud-based services that your company is going to rely on. When we consider information security teams, or what we commonly refer to as InfoSec, these teams are often made up of multiple roles. You can have security administrators, security operations people, compliance administrators, data administrators, and all of these roles tend to wonder, how do I secure the environment in the cloud? What sorts of controls do I have available to me? What security do I implement, and what is the responsibility of the cloud provider? These roles really do need to work together, because as you move to a cloud environment, I missed a couple of steps here. I did not actually. These roles really do need to work together, because what we find in a cloud environment is that many of these tools and capabilities become much more interrelated and interconnected. Now, when it comes to considering cloud compliance in a cloud environment, compliance administrators and C-suite executives will wonder, how do we comply with the regulations that are important to our organization in a cloud environment? Right? What are my responsibilities? What are the responsibilities of the service operator? Right? We often hear about compliance and information protection being a shared responsibility in the cloud. But what does that really look like at a tactical level? And how do I demonstrate compliance in the cloud? Right? How do I demonstrate that to my auditors? How often do I audit my cloud environment? And what do I audit? These are common questions that we see. And when it comes to discovering tools and capabilities in the cloud, this can be very challenging for many organizations. They often have difficulties understanding what tools are available to them and what tools are right for the job. For example, what's the difference between Office 365 Cloud App Security and Microsoft Cloud App Security, or Cloud App Discovery? Do I need Azure Identity Protection or Azure Privileged Identity Management? What are the differences between Advanced Threat Protection and Advanced Threat Analytics? Which analytics do I need? Because I have analytics coming at me from every single solution out there these days. When it comes to federated authentication, do I need ADFS? Do I need pass-through authentication? Do I need seamless authentication, modern authentication, multi-factor authentication, or some combination of these? And the questions go on and on. So just determining what tools are available, which tools to start with, how to approach them, that can be very challenging for organizations. So to help you along this journey, to help answer these questions, Microsoft has developed several action plans that give you very specific activities, outcomes, and guidance to help you along this journey. We've developed 3 action plans, one for GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation out of the EU, one for ISO 27001, and one for NIST 800-53. Now, there's many compliance regulations out there, and I would argue that many of them out there, across many industries, tend to be variations of these 3. These 3 in particular, I find, provide a foundational set of recommendations and rules to help your organization along a compliance journey as you move into a cloud environment. When we look at GDPR, for example, it's really about protecting personal information for individuals in the EU. Now, many organizations are not distinguishing between people in the EU and people outside of the EU, which is a good thing, right? For example, if you don't need my social security number, don't collect it. If you don't need to store it for 10 years, don't do that. If I didn't give you permission to collect it and store it, don't do that. If you're going to collect it and store it, give it the protection that it deserves, because that information leaking or being stolen can cause harm to the individual. That's what GDPR really is about, trying to get organizations to do the right thing with people's personal information. When it comes to ISO 27001, that's really about taking a risk-based approach to developing an information security management system for your organization. Many organizations have disjointed or disconnected security solutions to address point scenarios, right? Or perhaps they have security solutions that don't appropriately cover important security risks or important risk areas. ISO 27001 is about creating an overarching management process and strategy around managing these controls by developing what are called standard operating procedures that help you be compliant on an ongoing basis. And then NIST 800-53 provides a list of controls, a set of security controls for all federal information management systems across the United States, except for national security systems. Those have a higher level of compliance required. And you can use NIST 800-53 controls. You can tailor those to your organization. You can adopt those, modify those, deal with those based on a risk-based assessment. Now, these action plans follow a fairly consistent approach. We've divided them up into what you can achieve in the first 30 days as powerful, quick wins, what you can achieve in the first 90 days to implement enhanced protections, and then what you can achieve beyond 90 days to achieve ongoing governance, ongoing monitoring, and ongoing compliance. Each one is built out through a very specific set of actions and recommendations with outcomes and objectives. And we're going to take a look at those in just a few minutes, and then we're going to actually demo many of the tools that Microsoft has provided to assist you with that. So let's actually, we did not go to that one here. Let me just bring up a browser here. We have it on one system but not the other, so let me just find that. Here we go. me. So you can see here that, oh, we're not on AV person. AV person. Hello. Can we switch the view? Can we switch the view to the browser here?
You're on here?
Yeah, it's on here. We did have the deck a moment ago. Bear with us for just a second.
What does he want to do?
I just want to display the web browser on this machine. I just switched from the presentation deck.
We lost it.
Okay. Bear with us for just a second. So maybe I'll just describe what these look like as we try to get these up on the screen. So we have 3 action plans that we've developed with Microsoft. Again, one focused on GDPR, one focused on ISO 27001, and one focused on NIST 800-53. Each one follows a consistent approach. Is that not going to show?
It's not part of PowerPoint, so it's not going to show up.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just take a second to describe it. Why don't we just switch right into the demonstration of the tools then?
Okay.
All right. Maybe we can...
So I think, thank you, Antonio. Where we're going to sort of take some of the challenges that Antonio mentioned. If you put up that slide for a moment, we can get back to the slide that Antonio had.
We can't hear you.
See you go back.
You can hold it if you want. All right. That's great. Awesome. All right, let's give it to Antonio here. What Antonio was trying to show you was, you see a very, very simplified version of this action plan listed here. But if you go to our resources, which we'll show you at the end of this presentation, is each of these is a very, very rich plan. And when we started to work on this together, what we really started to do is addressing the challenge that we have. How do we know what controls we have across security and compliance, and how do we start mapping these to them? So what we've done is really started to look at 2 aspects. One is look at what are some of the tools that you can start to use in the first 30 days, your powerful quick wins, at least get you started with your compliance posture, your security posture. We'll talk a lot about Microsoft information protection. You've probably heard about this throughout Ignite. And we'll talk about the powerful capabilities that you can start to use to classify, protect, and govern your data. And we'll show you some of the other cool demos around work we've done to implement controls, do aspects like DSRs, but actually take that to more of the advanced e-discovery scenarios as well. Some of the key capabilities that we've chosen to demo for this presentation is around label analytics, really about how do you go and do that ongoing monitoring on that data that you're governing and protecting. And that's a very, very powerful tool that we want to share. So we've not chosen something like auditing, but there's a whole presentation on auditing, and that's something that you should look at as well. And then I'm going to end with a demo of the new capability we've announced, which is compliance boundaries. Very, very pertinent to a regulation like GDPR. And how do you set that up? So let's dive first into our first demo, which is for the Compliance Manager tool. So there is the Compliance Manager. We released it as part of our GDPR announcement earlier this year. It is created from the point of view to help you start understanding your compliance posture. So Antonio mentioned these regulations. There is, data shows us there are probably about 200 plus regulations a month. So you know it's changing fast, but what Compliance Manager does is it gives you, we're adding more and more regulations, so it starts by giving you an intelligence score that reflects your compliance posture. Where we are now with the journey is we have mapped the Compliance Manager to the security and compliance controls. Where we are going to go is more automation of these controls for you, as well as how do we automate the assessment. Once you implement a control, you probably need to send it to your compliance officer. They need to audit it. So let's take a quick look at the compliance manager. Here I've opened up the compliance manager, which is, you can go today, you can log in there if you haven't. How many people have used this? Very cool. For folks who haven't, you can log in with your tenant as a tenant admin, and you can start to see what your score is for each of these regulations. So let's say if I click on one of the, top of mind regulations, GDPR. When I go here, I can see two sets of controls we've mapped our tools to. Microsoft Managed Controls, and as well as Customer Managed Controls. So we do some job for you. We turn on what we can, understanding from making sure that we are not mucking up with your data, but really like sort of getting you started with some of your controls. But we can also start to now go into a category. Let's say I go into the security category, and here I'm in my Microsoft Managed Controls. I can start to understand much more details about what this control is. And part of this tool, what it does is starts to point you to the right tools across M365 security and compliance. So I'm going to go and set up a control here. One of the controls that is a control that we want to set up for GDPR is a data classification and governance scheme. So you want to protect your GDPR sensitive data as well as you want to govern it. So what we've done here right now is given you an easy access to say what are some of the tools that you can use. So as an example, I can go into M365 Security and Compliance Center, which we also announced, but this is available in your Office 365 tenancy. And what we've done is, with Microsoft Information Protection and Governance, we've really started to unify our approach to discover and classify your data, as well as think about the data that you need to protect. You need to protect your GDPR data, sensitive data based on the sensitive types. You also need to put retention for 5 to 7 years. And so that's the kind of powerful capability, a control that you can turn on. And with the same approach, we give you monitoring on that data, which will be, as you start to implement these controls, you'll get the benefits of that you can actively monitor. So here I am in my M365 Security and Compliance. This looks really nice, but you would have the same functionality turned on in your tenant, even within Office 365. We've brought in both your sensitivity and retention labels now integrated. So I'm going to go and create a label, because this is a control I want to implement.
Sorry, do you mind if I add a point?
Yes.
Do you mind going back to... I just want to comment for a second on the analytics around label usage here. As an individual who's rolled out data classification solutions, which is what this is really, to large organizations, right? Tens of thousands of users. One of the key areas that you look at is, are people classifying data? Are people over-classifying data? Are they under-classifying data? Because sometimes you run across individuals who don't really understand what a classification or a label means, despite how you've named the label. So first of all, an education program around what are the labels within our organization, what do they mean is important, but then also following up on that with analytics and monitoring like this, so that you can see, are people using them and are people using them appropriately? And if they're not, then providing additional training to individuals. So this has a lot of follow-on benefits just for you to understand how are people using the labels you've rolled out.
That is a great point, Antonio. And we'll make it available, one of the sessions that we did for our pre-day for our compliance audience that joined us, we actually did a training deployment for MIP. We talk about over there about how you start to define your taxonomy in the first 30 days. How do you get business and IT to talk together? What are some end user awareness tools? What are the default out-of-the-box labels that we suggest as part of both sensitivity and governance? So there's a lot of good content that we'll share as well. So coming back here, I went and I've created a GDPR data set retention label. And now I'm going to I can also assign what we've added is file plan descriptors. You can start to say, you can add a citation for your regulation that you need to add in here. You can add where this label should be deployed, as an example, which departments, what users. You can start to do that. So really add that. Next thing is we can turn on your retention policies on that label, what data you want to keep and what data you want to delete. So once you do that, you can also trigger a disposition review. Let's say this is your GDPR data set. When that's coming up it's up for its retention, you want to put it in a queue so that you can actually review it before it's deleted. So those are some of the things that you can, as you start learning about the control, you can start to play with as well. And here I'm done creating a GDPR dataset retention label. Now, one of the powerful capabilities that we have, which we released with our MIP, is what we call as auto-classification. Now, why do you want to do auto-classification? Because you want to, let's say, as an example, for this control, I want to find out all of the sensitive data types for GDPR. So we release a set of templates right into our MIP experience. And what I've done here is created a auto-classification rule that will find all the sensitive data types and then will start governing that data. And this is, as Antonio said, now you can get the rich analytics once that the analytics start to kick in and users are starting to classify, or the system is starting to classify that data. So you can really have that confidence that you're going to, even if you set up that label, you can have that confidence that you can start to see that insight.
If I could add a point as well.
Absolutely.
Years ago, around 2010, I was working in the data classification space, and I read some research around misclassification. Right? There was a big debate going on at the time, especially in the military world, between automatic classification and user-based classification. Right? Because if you look at what was called Azure Information Protection, which now is called Microsoft Information Protection, the toolbar that you get in Word, Excel, PowerPoint to classify data, there was a big debate at the time around which solution is better. And what was found was that, through the research that I read, about when you do user-based classification, you end up with about a 30% misclassification rate, whether it's overclassifying something or underclassifying something. And then with automated classification, because automated classification is relying on words, regular expressions, keywords, some heuristics. For example, just because a document has the word secret in it doesn't mean it's classified secret in the military, right? Automatic classification also had about a 30% misclassification rate, right? So we found we had similar error rates in both circumstances. So we ultimately did find that the best solution for organization is a combination of the two. So have your end users actually classify documents, because the author of a document usually does have the best understanding of what should the classification level or protection level of this document be. But then automatic classification can also provide a lot of benefit. So the combination of the two, as we see here, we have found tends to be the best solution for organizations.
Great point. I think that's a very, very, we see our organization start that kind of pilot, very practical pilot, and also start it with a couple of, say, departments or a few users and see how that's going, and then extend it out. All those are like really great tips of starting to gain that confidence of deploying your controls in your organization. So now what I'm doing is that I am publishing this to certain locations. Like I said, you're publishing to all locations, but you can start with a pilot and choose specific locations to do that. At this point, I'm done creating what I call a control for a retention policy in my organization. But I also want to start protecting that data. So I can go right into an experience with sensitivity labels, integration of AIP into our unified experience now, and I can start to create a policy, I can start to create a label for encryption, for sensitivity. So I can add rules like encryption, content marking, just like Antonio said, your end users can really start to identify, because they are the best to know this is a sensitive document, so you can really start to push this. The best news about MIP is that it's now natively integrated into all of your Office apps across Mac, Windows. your mobile devices. So your end users they can continue to do their job versus they have that productivity as well. So here I've created some options to start encrypting that sensitive data, and then I can publish it in a similar way. I can also choose the users and groups I want to publish to. You can actually scope this down so that in your pilot phase, you can start to test this.
Can I add another point? Sorry to keep interrupting.
No, this is great. I'm learning a lot.
So I'm gonna mention an announcement by another company here. So in rolling out AIP or MIP to organizations, one of the traditional challenges or blockers over the last couple of years has been that when you use an AIP label, or a sensitivity label now, to encrypt a document, provides fantastic encryption. The problem was when you applied that to PDFs, those were no longer readable by the Adobe Acrobat Reader. And here, Adobe announced that the Adobe Acrobat Reader will now be supporting the decryption of AIP protected documents. So now you no longer need to roll out a third-party a PDF reader to your organization simply because you want to use AIP labels to encrypt and protect documents, which is fantastic news.
Okay, that deserves a round of applause. So as you saw, we started from Compliance Manager. We chose a control, which was setting up data classification in your environment for GDPR. We went through the MIP experience to start implementing that pilot control. You can go back to Compliance Manager. As you start to roll, you can go back and start to audit that, assess that with your compliance team. So now, on the other hand, there is another tool for you to start assessing your security posture. And that is, you've heard about Microsoft Secure Score. How many of you have heard about it? A lot more of you have heard about it. That's awesome. So you know probably a few things about it already, but let me talk to you about kind of where we are going. So the Secure Score provides you insights on your security posture and guidance for what controls to turn on across Office, Windows, Azure, EMS, Cloud App Security. So we're kind of starting to really integrate these controls across M365. So here I'm kind of showing you the new M365 Security Workspace. And this is a dashboard for your security admin, your security ops admin. And what you'll see is a secure score for your organization. Now, many companies ask us, how do I know my score is good? What is my score? Where am I? So when we started really looking at, we wanted to start off with a simple concept that can be understood. And you can start to see ML can drive more intelligence over this analysis over time. So first, based on, we give you a score. We also give you what we call as a global score. So this is based on all the tenants across the organization. We take an average and say, okay, sort of where is your score as compared to the global score. We also take things like active users in your tenant seats. How many users are actually using it? If it's small business versus your large enterprise, how many users are really active? And we kind of give you what we call as a similar like net score. And then we also give you what we call as an industry average, which is similar to if you've told us your profile and sort of where you're organized, whether it's a financial or healthcare organization, we can give you an industry score that can help you really see the averages for your score. One of the cool things that we've done is we've brought in integrated, like I mentioned, the controls so that now you don't have to go to 10 different places to see. It's across your data, across your identity, app, and information. So as an example here, I'm clicking to see the secure score for apps. Like what are the controls I need to implement across cloud app security, across apps, SaaS apps within your organization. You can also group things by category. This is another innovation that we are bringing because a lot of the times your data admins, if you're not as sophisticated, you don't have, you can still start to say, okay, across identity, what do I need to implement across apps and infrastructure? So we've given you that easier view. As an example, one of the primary identity controls that every organization should turn on, how many of you have turned on MFA? That's great. And we've announced so many new capabilities on top of MFA, such as password-less logging. Means that is just super cool. As organizations are deploying, their end users are really continue to be very, very productive. So here what we're saying is when you go to Secure Score, it will tell you exactly what the control is. It'll tell you more information about the control. What is the risk if you don't turn on this control? And then it takes you right into the right experience. As with M365, we'll start to bring in more of these controls more natively integrated. But what we're trying to do is still, if these controls live across many different portals, we're still kind of giving you an easier path and putting you right in the experience. Over here is Azure, where you have to set up conditional access, and then you can start to go and set up that control. Pretty cool.
Sorry.
Yes.
One great example of that, so I've done many presentations on what was called Office 365 Secure Score. Is now called Microsoft Secure Score. I love the broader view of it, by the way. One great example of providing you a recommendation and then giving you links that take you to the specific place where you can implement the action, I found it's very simple, but it's enabling mailbox auditing on your Exchange mailboxes. So one of the classic attack vectors for Office 365 is phishing emails. And when you succumb to a phishing attack and you bring someone like me in to investigate it, the one thing we're going to want to do is look at your logs. We can look at the unified audit logs within Office 365, but when it's a mail attack like that, we really want to look at the mailbox audit logging. And until recently, that's been off by default. So we often recommend to clients, go turn on mailbox auditing on every single mailbox. And that was always required PowerShell, and it always required running it on every single mailbox. That Secure Score recommendation around turning on mailbox auditing actually brought you to a GitHub repo that had the PowerShell you would run on your organization. So as a security person, it takes you right to the place where you have the specific tools you can to implement it. So I've always thought that that was fantastic.
That's just simply fantastic, because it is a reality that as soon as an organization comes into a security issue, one of the first things they say, where is the audit trace? Is it turned on? And that is typically the first thing we tell organizations to do. And so this is just really going to simplify and automate that process for you, give you that posture, and then continuously gamify it for you a little bit. That's why our customers like it. Like you turn on something, your score goes up. And that's a really good way to kind of incentivize your organization to get started on security and compliance. So now that we've gone through Compliance Manager, setting up controls for security and compliance, let's talk about one of the key aspects of a GDPR sort of regulation is to start to manage your data subject requests. So we have, like I mentioned, about 80 plus sensitive data types, one that we released as part of DLP, and we released a couple just for GDPR that we use to classify that data. This is the Office Security and Compliance Center, and what you're seeing here is the GDPR dashboard that we had released as part of our experience. I'm straight going to jump into a DSR experience, create a DSR case, because at least I believe, and Antonio, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to be able to understand GDPR in the first 30 days. You have to understand what a DSR is. You've got to get started with it. So even if you may not get an inquiry to do DSR, you should know what other tools available for you to get started.
So what we recommend is that you start working towards, in those first 30 days, you start working towards understanding your GDPR regulations. It is a big regulation, right? I think there's 141 recitals, there's 17 chapters, there's 300 and some paragraphs. It goes on for a long time, there's a lot of detail. So it does take work to understand it. The important thing to also realize with GDPR is that it is a legal regulation. It is not an IT regulation. So it's important to have your legal teams actually review it, assess and understand what your risk is, and assess how you're going to respond to data subject requests. So that's a bit, that's hard to do that in 30 days. So that's why we say start working towards understanding your obligations.
Perfect. When we started working on GDPR, one of the areas we thought if it has to be that well understood, we really need to simplify our solution. So what we've released as part of that is we've really simplified and streamlined the flow for GDPR so that you can even try it out in your organization. You can create a test GDPR case. Here I've created, it's a case number for a GDPR request that's come in. And I can add a custodian I want to search his data for. And then I can, underneath, our e-discovery experience is powering this. So what I get is my results set. And here, then I can start to really go and filter that data. So let's connect it back to the control that we'd implemented. We implemented some labels that were GDPR data set and the sensitivity labels. That's called a compliance tag. In this experience, you can now, if you had proactively classified your data, while you come in that GDPR experience, you can filter your data set for that sensitive types for that custodian. And that's pretty cool. That is one of the reasons where you start to see the power of implementing controls and the outcomes and the benefits of it when you start to do a GDPR case. Now, not only that, now I want to kind of move a little bit into showing you what we have done with some of our advanced e-discovery capabilities that we are announcing, we have announced in Ignite. So what I am showing you is the same GDPR DSR case. So if you have advanced e-discovery, what you can now do is take that case and open it up with advanced e-discovery. And you get really, really powerful analytics. You can start to see the duplicates in your data set. You can start to see some more culling that we've done over that data set to really start to simplify that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a working set because I want to start to now take the power of advanced e-discovery and start to review that DSR case. My legal team may want to start to actually flag things that they may want to consult with their legal team before they handle that GDPR request. There are things like you might want to review, you might also want to redact things before you send it out. All of those powerful capabilities are what we're building with our advanced e-discovery. So as you see here, what we've done is we've already taken your working set and we've filtered things around to show you your smart filtering, like your redaction sets, everything that we think should be tagged for export, and near duplicates, we've taken them and culled that down so that you have exactly so here, for example, you had 300 items, but if you dupe it, you see that the items, we've reduced it to 115. So the amount of items you had to review is really now reduced, both saving you cost and effort, because otherwise you would have a set of paralegals going and reviewing each of these documents. So not only that, you can start to actually tag that data to say, is it responsive, non-responsive? You can add your own tags based on your organization's business policy. And then you can also start to redact some of that data right within our experiences. And if you needed to export it back to your legal team to review or the business to review, you can do that. So really, really sort of starting with that simplified experience that we've shipped. But if you start to see advanced e-discovery, you can start to do much more of the advanced stuff that really reduces. So all of these controls are getting announced at Ignite as well. Exciting, right?
Very much so.
Awesome. So coming to now, giving you the benefit. You've done the hard work. You've probably implemented a control, auto-classification. You got going. You understood your GDPR. So you're a little beyond 90 days now at this point. And what you start to see is some of the label analytics, really the powerful analytics that we've done on your audit data to give you insights about how many items are labeled, where are all the locations that this label data resides. We can also break that down by the apps where it was. How, was it manually labeled or was it auto-applied? So you can really start to see that analytics over time. So for example, here I'm going to click on the same GDPR dataset control that we'd implemented. And what you see here is some of the advanced analytics that we've done. For that particular label, you can now start to see what are the items that were tagged by that label, whether in SharePoint, Exchange. Were they manually applied, like I said, or auto-applied? If you had selected the control for dispositions, where you wanted to review the data before it was disposed, you start to see that as well.
And I would say that in particular is really important, being able to review the dispositions, because as a security and privacy geek, I live in this world, I love this world, so it is very exciting. When it comes to GDPR and data subject requests, so when an individual asks you, you know what, I want you to delete all my data, you as the organization do have the ability to put your own stipulations and procedures around that. Because for example, based on your jurisdiction, you might have other obligations, other legal obligations you have to comply with. Like, I need to keep invoices for tax purposes for 7 years. And that, conflicts with someone saying, I want you to delete all the data that has my name on it now. So you, from a legal perspective, have the ability to, to let the data subject request know, yes, your stuff has been scheduled for deletion, but you still keep it based on the regulations that you also have to comply with. So from a legal standpoint, you need to make those decisions about what you're going to do. You need to explain that in your privacy notice that individuals out in the world can actually see, and you have to do that in a very easy way to understand. But then being able to view the dispositions, as Maithili showed, allows you to see where are we in this process, where we've received these data subject requests, but we still have to keep that data for certain periods of time based on our jurisdiction. So these types of analytics are excellent.
Absolutely.
And the e-discovery capabilities, right? Trying to find where all that personal data is in your organization is a huge challenge. So e-discovery and advanced e-discovery helps significantly, right? We will help organizations do large data discovery exercises across their entire organization, not just within the Microsoft 365 stack. And those are huge activities. So having these tools available to you out of the box is excellent.
That's great. Looking at this particular data set, the other piece that I wanted to highlight is, as Antonio mentioned, you can, if you had a disposition, you wanted to see, and you had the right permissions to that data as a security admin or a records manager or a compliance admin, you would be able to go right to the exact file that is up for disposition. You can see that. We have native rendering right within the experience of analytics. And then you can start to do things like even relabel the file if it was incorrectly labeled, or go and review that file from click on the tab for disposed items. If you've disposed it, your business owner can look at the items that were disposed and review them as well. So we're really starting to integrate these analytics as well as simplify how you can start to go and so this again kind of brings back that confidence of putting those controls in your organization for MIP. The last demo that I have, and I'll hand it back to Antonio, is a feature that we announced at Ignite, is called compliance boundaries. So let's think about the regulation here. So today, if you get started with a simple control, it would be what we call as org-wide retention. What org-wide retention does is you can set up a retention policy for your entire org and a disposition policy. So you can say like sort of all documents should be retained for 3 years and then, or 7 years, and then disposed of after 90 days if they are not being used, right? So you can really set up that kind of a typical policy that we see organizations take up. But that doesn't really meet the needs of a complex regulation like GDPR, NIST, ISO, financial regulations. There are 3 problems at hand. Problem number 1, that if you have users who are in EU or versus US in your organization, they need to be retained, governance needs to apply, different retention policies need to apply. take your retention schedule. Your financial department needs to be more regulated than, say, your legal team, as an example, or your business team. There's another challenge that comes in with a regulation. If an user moves geolocations, or he moves roles, or he moves department, how do you dynamically update his retention policy so that now the documents or emails he started creating apply with the new retention policy? This is exactly what we are doing with the compliance boundary control. What it allows is for simple manageability for the admin to set this up. Initially, we'll start with a commandlet, but then we'll bring it right within the MIP label experience flow, that when you set that up. We'll also do some automation, like things like we'll dynamically update as users change roles or locations. It also works with multi-geo. So you can set up multi-geo. When you're setting that up, you can set this feature up as well. So we'll kind of make it easy as part of that experience as well. And we'll provide the analytics and intelligence, audits. If users are changing roles, we want to notify you. We want to give you those audit logs and really help you see what's going on. So to set that up, I'm going to show you a quick demo. And it's not going to be that difficult to try this as well, which is the good news. So you can set up a new compliance policy. Here I've chosen a finance department based on my FinServ requirements, financial regulations. I need to govern these users, which are more highly regulated than the others. So I had a dynamic distribution group for my users in my finance department. What I can do is I can create a dynamic scope location. This works on your AD attributes, such as location, user, manager, all of those familiar AD attributes. So you can easily set that up. So you don't need to recreate these boundaries that you've already set up in your organization. Next, what you'll do is you'll now associate that with a retention policy for that boundary. So here, for example, I've created a finance policy, and I've set up my, as per my automation retention schedule. Typically, it's a retention schedule that your records manager, your compliance team might come up to say, hey, financial users need to be regulated for so many, their data needs to be regulated for a certain number of times. So you'll set that up. And then using MIP, you will start to associate, you can also publish labels which are different for that compliance boundary. And for users who are outside the boundary, like they and the legal team, they can see a different set of labels, or they won't see these labels that you published. So once I've done that, then what I'm showing you is an outcome of that. The user outside the compliance boundary did not see the financial reports label that I had set up, but the user within the boundary now starts to see that. And that's really super powerful, because now you can really start to take your regulation, and once you do the setup, it kind of works across many, many regulations. So like this is the kind of control, you would get your points across many regulations. And with that, I'll hand it off back to Antonio.
Thank you, Madeleine. So we weren't able to actually show you the regulations just because of the presentation setup, but not the regulations, sorry, the action plans. The links to the action plans are here. They're quite easy to read and digest. We've intentionally made them easy to go through and read. They start off with a list of outcomes related to GDPR, to ISO 27001, and to NIST, and then specific activities that you can perform with very specific links to the Microsoft tools and Microsoft documentation to help you with those. So those are extremely useful. Please do take a look at those when you have a chance. There's also a similar plan for an Office 365 security roadmap that we have a link to, and then some additional documentation around identity and device access policies and Windows 10 Enterprise and security. The recommended identity and device access policies are particularly interesting, especially when you start to consider tools like Intune and conditional access, which also feed into complying with these regulations. Those are certainly more complex configurations, but they're definitely worthwhile looking at and very useful. We've got some additional information around how to use the compliance manager, the benefits that it provides. I do say, as someone that works in these regulations, that has read much of that documentation many times, and I mean, it's not very exciting, but it's interesting to me. the specific controls that Microsoft lists in the Compliance Manager, and you remember when Mightily clicked on some and it provided you information about them, that is extremely useful for understanding what that particular control is about, why it's there, and what the benefits are, and what you need to do to apply it. So Microsoft has gone a long way to actually describing each of those controls to help you understand what they are. To the point where, I've been on calls with Microsoft legal team people who have actually worked on all of that documentation. So a lot of it has been very much approached, not from an IT perspective, but from a legal and compliance perspective. So definitely take a look at the Compliance Manager and all the information it provides. And then certainly there's a lot of other documentation available as well. There's a lot of reading to do in this space, but it's all good stuff. And then there's been a number of sessions here. We're getting to the end of the conference, but many sessions that have occurred throughout the conference. I'm not sure if any more are coming up, considering we're almost at the end of the week. But everything is being recorded and streamed and available to you online as well.
There's a advanced e-discovery session. We showed you some of the stuff. We're going to go in 75 minutes more detail tomorrow at 12:30.
And we actually have lots of time for questions, it turns out. So we'll open the floor to any questions that anyone might have. Anyone?
Would you mind coming?
Yes, if you have a question, please do come up to the mic.
How many minutes do we have?
What's that?
Does this work? Okay, it does. So we're in the GCC tenants, and we see a lot of, as we go to the different sessions, some things apply, some things don't, because some things are in government community cloud, and some are only in commercial at this point. Are the things that you're showing is in the security and compliance stuff, is that pretty much full-featured fidelity between commercial and GCC, or are there still significant differences in this realm? Do we know?
So the question is much of what we've shown available in the government community cloud as it is in the commercial cloud, or will it be?
Yes, Bhavi can answer that.
Yeah, hi. If I'm not wrong, let me understand your question right. So you're talking about the government clouds. So you want to know the fidelity between the commercial release and the government release. So I think it's the same. So we have rolled it out to the government clouds as well. Yeah.
That's good.
Hi. I'm a bit confused as to the difference now between a sensitivity label and its capability and Azure Information Protection in what it does.
It is exactly similar to Azure. It's information protection.
Okay, so
Yes.
from...
So it's what we've done is, think about it, we've taken our classification services across Azure and Office, and we've created one classification service now. We've integrated it. So you can think about, we uniformly classify anything that we do in terms of adding a new EU data type or any sensitive type. It's part of the same service. And then what we've done is we've brought a unified portal that allows you to simplify your management, so you don't need to go to two places to do that. But as you start to see, when you auto-classify your data, or as we start to bring in more machine learning, let's say, you have to classify your data once, and then these are just outcomes. What are the outcomes you want to put on the data? You want to protect the data, and you want to retain the data. And you can put the outcome on the same piece of data. You can put two labels on that.
So is the direction of travel then back into the Security and Compliance Center away from Azure Information Protection? Am I reading that right?
Correct. And what you see back there, let me go back. If you go back to what I showed you, this is back. This is the Compliance Center. This is the new M365 Compliance Workspace. So as part of our unified admin experiences across M365, we have a unified admin center now. We have a unified security console workspace center and a compliance center. So this is where we are starting to bring together most of our experiences. So you don't have to go to Azure to set up MIP. Most of that stuff, users will also be migrated to this new portal.
Okay, just one follow-up question.
Yes.
So from what you showed about GDPR and the requirements, and I love how it links all together, that's really useful. From a licensing point of view, how does that work in terms of, so GDPR is a legal requirement. Are any of those elements, for example, E5 or EMS E5 requirements?
Great question. So let me answer it in two parts. The DSR experience I showed you, the simplified DSR experience, a lot of our capabilities with e-discovery are available as part of E1 as well as E3 license, so you don't need an E5. Some of the advanced e-discovery stuff that I showed you today, whether it was the advanced review, machine learning, as well as the redaction, those are what will be part of E5. And we can share more. Our marketing team is here.
The automated scanning is E5 as
Automatic,
well.
yeah.
Disposition, I believe, is E5 also.
Manual disposition is E5.
Right, thank you.
So if I can paraphrase for
Yes.
a second to answer your question as well. In the past, we had a lot of confusion between labels and Azure Information Protection sensitivity classifications, if you will. And what Microsoft has done and what we have asked for, so thank you, is to unify those two. And that's what that's done. Now they are labels. They're not configured, one of them in the Office 365 Security Compliance Center and the other in the Azure portal.
Absolutely.
They're all configured in the Microsoft Security and Compliance Center now. They're all called labels, and the label can have retention or sensitivity or both. And Azure Information Protection has been renamed to Microsoft Information Protection.
Correct. It's all under Microsoft Information Protection is where our unified experiences for discovery, classification, labeling, analytics. Think about analytics.
Yes.
That's huge because now you can get that centralized analytics not only across your data on, we can also get it on data on-prem if you're using the scanner. So we'll kind of be integrating more and more into this new compliance center and security center workspace.
So just wanted to add one thing. Whatever Maithili presented on the data subject access request, the standard tool set, those are all part of all the SKUs. So it's not only for E5, it's
that's
across.
what I mentioned. Yeah. Thank you, Bobby.
Question over here.
Yeah, so we've seen this beautiful separated compliance and then another security portal several times in different sessions. Is this live yet? So I've been unable to find these out in the wild. So, and there has been no conversation about this is or is not live yet, or it's out there, or any of that. So if you could clarify, that would be great.
Great question. What I showed you today is, and thank you for the compliment. It looks really nice. It is. We can start playing with it. In fact, if you come down our compliance booth, we can show you. You can play around with it. So please do come by the compliance booth to play around with it. We'll start to roll out some of this through the end of the year. So starting from October to December, and you look forward to more updates from us, but we'll start with more of like a private, we're already in a private preview with a couple of organizations, then we kind of get more broadly into public preview and roll this out GA by the end of the year.
So it's not GA right now?
It's not GA, end of the year.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions?
So if all this is already configured, or these pieces in the separate systems, when it goes live, will all be get to reconfigure, or it's all going to be brought in?
Brought in.
It's all in.
Yeah, so you can actually test it out, with your own tenancy data. So you'll have, you'll be able to, you still have Office Information Protect, Office SEC and AIP, but then you'll start to see this as a new experience. And that's kind of where we are headed with our vision for M365 compliance. As more, this is going to be that single destination over time, but it's a journey, and we understand that.
Question.
Maybe it was on this other slide and I didn't see it. Is there a blog or something that we can see to get updates of when this stuff rolls out?
That's a good question. Nick, is there a blog or where we roll out the roadmap?
You can check the blog. We announced several of these features on Tuesday morning, and so we have on the M365 blog a roll-up blog across the compliance space that links to further detailed blogs in our tech community. So check there. The principle that we have on publishing those is the items that are included there are now available in public preview starting next week. So some of these things like this compliance center are not included in that set of announcements because it's not yet available. We have a slightly looser kind of principle around sharing content in sessions. Does that answer your question? Sorry,
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll still be available for questions. We're going to give you half an hour back to enjoy the conference.
I think it's maybe
get
you.
some coffee, and have a great time.